Farm Week is a production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farm Week, 2011 is a record year for weather and climate disasters in the U.S.
Mississippi 4-H'ers bring their green game to MSU football.
In Southern gardening, poinsettias will show you some red ones, but there's more than one color to choose from.
In the markets, corn prices feel the pressure of ample world supplies, while a tighter supply of medium and heavyweight feeders is expected.
In the feature segment, you'll go to the New York City area to see some of its rooftop farming efforts. You'll visit what is believed to be the world's largest rooftop farm.
It's not easy to put together such a plan such as this. It takes a lot of dedication and time, and you have to be in it 110% full time. But it's possible. Anybody can do it, and I think the biggest component of it is convincing the landlord that it's worth the risk.
Good day, everyone. I'm Leighton Spann.
And I'm Artist Ford. Welcome to Farm Week.
It has been a record year in 2011 for weather disasters in the United States.
Leighton, between Mississippi River flooding and tornadoes, Mississippians were among those who felt the brunt of the weather. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says there were 12 separate billion-dollar weather and climate disasters in the U.S. this year, breaking the record of 9 in 2008.
Mother Nature smashed the record for U.S. weather disasters this year as losses in a dozen calamities exceeded the $1 billion mark. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, reported that total losses from the deadly dozen alone piled up to a staggering $52 billion, matching the total for all of the 1980s, even when adjusted for inflation. Tornadoes accounted for half of the record-breaking disasters as a steady stream of lethal twisters roared across dozens of states, claiming the lives of more than 1,000 people and inflicting nearly $28 billion in damages. Other natural disasters also devastated large geographical areas this year, particularly in the southern plains, where record-breaking drought decimated crops and livestock. Damages from the arid conditions are estimated at nearly $10 billion, and that figure does not include more than $1 billion in losses due to wildfires in Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. Where it wasn't too dry this year, there's a good chance it was too wet. Flooding caused significant damage along the Mississippi and Missouri rivers. A levee along the Mighty Miss was intentionally broken near Wyatt, Missouri, in an attempt to protect the Illinois town of Cairo. Other levees failed after being weakened by flooding along the Missouri River, which in some cases lasted for months. And when combined with losses due to epic flooding along the Mouse River in Minot, North Dakota, America's swollen waterways racked up more than $6 billion in damages. Not to be outdone by tornadoes, droughts, or floods, Hurricane Irene slammed the East Coast from the Carolinas to as far north as Vermont, killing nearly 50 people and leaving more than $7 billion in damages in her wake. Scientists blame the rash of severe weather on an unlikely combination of global climate change and freak chance. The Federal Emergency Management Agency has been inundated with calls for assistance, and when it comes to weather issues in 2011, the only thing in short supply is money for disaster relief.
NOAA reports there was near normal rainfall in North Texas in November, but other parts of Texas remain drier than normal.
Normally, when 4-H members come to the Mississippi State University campus, it is to participate in activities and contests like 4-H Congress. But every year, 4-H youth volunteers and other supporters get a chance to relax and enjoy 4-H Day at an MSU football game. Farm Week's Amy Taylor has the story.
This was a special year for everyone who took part in the annual 4-H Day at Mississippi State University football. MSU Extension Service Associate Betty Rawlings says homecoming was chosen for 4-H Day, and those who participated got a special deal.
For $25, the people who attended got a game ticket, a meal ticket, and a great t-shirt. And the point of doing something like this is to make that first connection. When that child gets ready to choose a college, they're going to say, hey, Mississippi State, I've been there for 4-H Congress, I've been there for 4-H Day at MSU football. We just want everybody to feel comfortable being a part of our organization. We serve youth, we do hands-on experiential learning activities, and we're just proud to be a member, of the university.
Additionally, Rawlings says 4-H will host another 4-H Day at MSU basketball. Along with celebrating at the tailgate tent, 4-H helped kick off the game with a presentation of the 4-H football to new Director of Mississippi State University Extension Service, Dr. Gary Jackson.
It was an outstanding honor for me to be selected this year by our 4-H youth to receive the game day ball as the new Extension Director. So it's a highlight of my time at Mississippi State, and certainly as a representative of the Extension Service. I proudly have that football displayed in my office for everyone to see, along with a photo of the 4-H officers. In conjunction with the game, the athletics division has been so kind to MSU 4-H to allow us to run some public service announcements on the Jumbotron.
And of course, the football was designed in honor of 4-H with its green and white colors. For over a century, 4-H has been impacting the lives of Mississippi youth, and it has a presence in all 82 counties of the state. From Mississippi State University, I'm Amy Taylor reporting.
Red poinsettias are the traditional flower of Christmas, but plant breeders have been working hard with this native of Mexico. In this week's Southern Gardening segment, Extension horticulturist Dr. Gary Bachman says now poinsettias come in many more forms than just red.
Mississippi growers produce festive holiday poinsettias that are available in different colors and styles. Today I'm at Natchez Trace Greenhouse getting into the holiday spirit. When it comes to poinsettias, red is probably the most traditional and popular color. This Jubilee variety is a great example of a beautiful red, but there are newer, more unique poinsettias available. I really like the red winter rose variety. The furled and ruffled leaves give the impression of rose flowers. These healthy plants with several flowers resemble an arranged bouquet. There are also other colors available. This variety is called Snowcup and is a creamy white. There are even bicolors such as this Ice Punch with its striking red color and white centers. Try some of these non-traditional versions of poinsettias like this tree form, or even these poinsettias growing in hanging baskets. Did you know the showy and colorful parts of the poinsettia are not actually flowers, but are really modified leaves called bracts? The actual flowers of the poinsettia are these small yellow structures in the center. When you get your poinsettias home, simply cut the plastic sleeve off to reduce any potential damage. There's an old myth that poinsettias are poisonous, but that's not true. However, you do need to thoroughly wash your hands after handling your poinsettia, as the milky sap may irritate your skin. There are many poinsettia options to choose from for your holiday decorations, including different colors and shapes. See what works best for you. I'm Gary Bachman for Southern Gardening.
Gary says look around this Christmas and mix in some untraditional poinsettias with your favorite red ones. Well, in the feature segment today, Up on the Roof, this James Taylor song wasn't written about farming, but it describes what is believed to be the largest rooftop ag operation in the world. Time now for the markets with Leighton Spann, and the last crop and supply and demand reports are out for the year.
A lot of numbers, and we'll be talking a little bit about what they had to say in a moment. Also this week in the markets, the dollar hits an 11-month high. Slowing demand pinches cotton prices, while tighter feeder cattle supplies are expected. Grain and oilseed futures are trending higher as we record this program Thursday morning. This follows a week where a spike in the dollar crimped futures prices. Extension Ag economist John Michael Riley has been following this, as well as reviewing the December 9th government ag reports relative to corn and soybeans. John Michael, was this a fairly typical December report?
I think it's easy to say that. Not a lot. Typically in December, not a lot of changes come through. In fact, the only real big surprise was the soybean number, or the soybean numbers that were reported. The market was looking for the soybean ending stocks to be about 220 million bushels. It came in 230, so about 10 million higher. That really, was a negative aspect of the report. It pushed soybean prices down, but for the most part, there weren't a lot of wholesale changes across the board for corn or soybeans.
And I guess with corn, the global supplies continue to maybe even grow a little bit. It's definitely not shrinking.
That's correct. Again, domestically, no big changes, but they did report that China is expected to bump their production by 7.25 million metric tons, which is a change from the November report. So that combined with the surprise to soybeans pushed corn prices down when markets opened up after the report. Again, the shock to soybeans pushed those prices down. So we have come down from the prices did drop that day, and they've stayed about in that same range ever since.
All right, would you expect the price picture to stay about the same here as we approach the end of the year?
I do believe so. We have seen the prices really take a fall off since the midsummer. Exports have come down from a banner year in 2010 for both of these crops. The dollar has strengthened over this time period, so we have seen those have resulted in weakening of prices, and I would expect that to continue as we move into 2012.
And I guess as we get closer to planning, once we cross into 2012, then that price picture may start to change a little bit.
Exactly. The current global economic uncertainty is always lingering out there, but what we're going to see as we move into planning is I wouldn't expect a whole lot of changes unless this becomes more dire.
Meanwhile, cotton futures showed muted reaction Thursday morning to the latest weekly U.S. export sales numbers. This even though the export numbers continue to run below average as far as upcoming USDA projections. Now at the market close on Wednesday, March settled in the red for the 5th time in 6 sessions. From a technical standpoint, some analysts believe the price move has reached an extreme and that a reversal for cotton, at least temporarily, may be just ahead. Analyst Virgil Robinson describes the action he might suggest.
It would be my best opinion those who have the opportunity here to go ahead and commit themselves to selling cash, because the basis is really strong. At least the way I track it, it's unusually strong. I'd take advantage of at least that strong demand signal, make a cash sale, and then replace it either with an option or some type of vertical call spread. I think leverage on your money is pretty significant here and a good opportunity in that regard.
And turning to forestry products, lumber production in this region and nationwide is stepping up a bit compared to a year ago. U.S. production through the month of September 2011 was up almost 9% from January through September of 2010. Here in the South, lumber production is reported to be up almost 9.5% compared to that same period a year ago. These numbers come from Random Lengths Woodwire. And we transition into our livestock segment with our weekly trivia quiz. And here it is. How many men's t-shirts can you make from one bale of cotton? Is the answer 566, or over 1,200, over 1,900, or over 2,400? I'll tell you in just a few more minutes.
We're going to pause now for a short break on Farm Week. Coming up, we'll look at the calendar in the second part of the markets. Leighton Spann reports there's a tighter supply of cattle on feed, and there's some nervousness in the hog trade. In the feature segment today, need new acreage? One farm in New York City looked up, and now it's located on top of a building.
Committed? I better be. When there's a real struggle or when I have thoughts of cutting the line, it's the commitment that makes me stand fast. I hang in because I never want to have to say, that was the one that got away. So yes, I am committed to my marriage until death do us part. Commit to your marriage.
Hi, before we get back to the markets, let's look at the Farm Week calendar. The annual Tri-State Soybean Forum takes place Friday, January 6th. This is for growers in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Arkansas. This year, the location is the Lingo Community Center in Oak Grove, Louisiana. Runs from 8 a.m. until noon. Lunch will be served. There's no registration fee. Glyphosate weed control and herbicide-resistant weed control are two of the items on the agenda. The annual Delta Ag Expo takes place Tuesday and Wednesday, January 17th and 18th in Cleveland, Mississippi. Doors open at 8:30 a.m. both days. Mid-America Farm Publications is producing its 15th annual Ag Production Conference on January 31st and February 1st. Cotton, rice, corn, and soybeans will be covered, as well as precision agriculture. The location is Harris Casino Convention Center at Tunica. Go to our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com for information on these and other events. Now check out this week's Farm Week Snapshot.
The Friday, December 16th Cattle on Feed report is expected to show a tighter supply as the year comes to a close. Private analyst Allendale Incorporated sees a decrease in placements against a very small increase for marketings. The McHenry, Illinois brokerage says it expects a tighter supply of both medium and heavyweight feeders to cancel out continued herd liquidation out in the southern plains. And in the pork sector of livestock, things are described as a little jittery around the hogs. Analyst Sue Martin suggests keeping an eye on China and taking a lesson from the U.S. poultry industry 1 year ago.
With the slowing economy in China, I think the trade is nervous about the hog market, and seasonally pork tends to soften a little bit here. The other thing that I think we need to watch is with the February losing to the April contract, that's another sign of a topping market here. I think producers need to be doing a little bit of hedging. Again, maybe buy puts underneath you. With a slowing economy, China may slow up at any time from their buying of U.S. pork. And we seen it a year ago in poultry when they all of a sudden they thought we were dumping too much poultry into them, and they switched to Brazil. They didn't change the amount that they were buying, they just changed origin. Well, this past week, the first load of pork came out of Brazil to China.
Our trivia answer is coming into view next on Farm Week. We were talking cotton in particular, and the correct answer is B. Over 1,200 men's T-shirts can be made from one bale of cotton.
We've had unusual farms on Farm Week before, mushroom farms, for example. Today, however, this may be the most unusual yet. You'll go to New York City to the world's largest rooftop farm. You'll also see a rooftop hydroponic greenhouse operation. These are serious efforts to introduce production agriculture into Gotham City. Market to Market's Laurel Bauer-Bergmeyer reports.
Ben Flanner is head farmer and co-founder of Brooklyn Grange Farm, a 40,000 square foot soil-based rooftop farm. That's 1 acre, located above a former manufacturing plant in Long Island City. Developed in 2010, Brooklyn Grange is considered to be the largest rooftop farm in the world.
It just seems to make sense to me to do something practical on top of rooftop spaces. We have all these empty roofs that have sun bearing down on them all day long. So it makes sense to do something with them that's productive.
Flanner and his team, which includes 4 other co-founders and scores of volunteers, farm the roof about 9 months out of the year. During the growing season, there are hundreds of thousands of plants on the roof. The crops are sold directly to the community at several weekly farm stands, as well as to local restaurants like Vesta, located in Queens.
For someone that comes from the country or someone that comes from the Midwest, that might be an everyday thing. But for someone that grows up in the 5 boroughs of New York City, that's something you've never seen besides maybe your neighbor who has 2 tomatoes planted. And I mean, the taste is just on a level that we would never be able to appreciate if you didn't have something like that, because the supermarket tomato or the supermarket green doesn't taste like what Ben Flanner or the Brooklyn Grange is doing for you.
Giuseppe Falco co-owns Vesta and says having a relationship with Brooklyn Grange has allowed him to make local ingredients a mainstay on his menu.
We're very, very flexible about the items we take from Brooklyn Grange. So for the most part, we'll usually get a phone call once a week, and it'll be like, look, this is what's going to happen on Tuesday, and this is what's going to happen on Wednesday. And we'll kind of cater our menu to that. The fun aspect is being able to tell the farmer, hey, I really like this type of carrot. Can you grow it for me?
In its first year of business, Brooklyn Grange sold 14,000 pounds of produce to local restaurants and farmers markets. It managed to cover its operating costs while making a small profit.
It's not easy to put together such a plan such as this. It takes a lot of dedication and time, and you have to be in it 110% full time. But it's possible. Anybody can do it, and I think the biggest component of it is convincing the landlord that it's worth the risk and that there is a low risk. If somebody owns a big expensive building in New York City, it's a big deal. There's a lot of insurance risks and everything, and the core components, just like a lot of different things, are having a great relationship and trust, and then finding the right people that are willing to take a little bit of a leap with you.
Brooklyn Grange has a 10-year lease with Acumen Capital Partners. The crops are grown in roughly 1.2 million pounds of soil on top of more than 20,000 linear feet of green roofing material. The farm is financed through a combination of private funds, loans, and grassroots money-raising events.
I think a lot of people are excited about having food that's grown so close to their homes and picked so close in time to the point where they eat it and purchase it. So there's a lot of positive response from the community.
Another New York-based company is also part of the rooftop farming revolution. Instead of using dirt, however, Bright Farms LLC grows its produce in a less traditional way using hydroponics, or the growing of plants without soil. Benjamin Lindsley is the Vice President of Business Development and Public Affairs for Bright Farms.
Bright Farm Systems is a design and engineering firm, and we focus on one particular idea, and that is rooftop hydroponic greenhouses in urban areas for urban food production.
In the fall of 2010, Bright Farms was commissioned to design an environmental education center and local food production facility on the roof of the Manhattan School for Children on the Upper West Side.
It's an education facility, so there will be food produced here. It will be using hydroponic technology, and the food will be going into the school's cafeteria for the students.
Lindsley says Bright Farms focuses on delivery of the best quality fruits and vegetables, grown with the smallest possible environmental impact. He claims hydroponic farms use 90% less water than traditional methods by capturing rainfall from the roof and recirculating it. Some greenhouses are heavy emitters of carbon dioxide gases because of the energy needed to heat in the winter and cool in the summer. Bright Farms is able to greatly reduce fossil fuel use by utilizing solar panels and ventilation systems. He also points out since soil is not used in hydroponic farming, the method is lightweight, making it ideal for a rooftop setting. And Lindsley adds some of Bright Farms' climate-controlled greenhouses are capable of producing 250 tons of food per year.
From a commercial perspective, there's a real advantage in being able to be a farmer that grows 365 days of the year. It's an extremely high-yield form of agriculture. It produces a very, very high-quality vegetable, and it's very, very efficient on resources.
While using different methods, both Bright Farms and Brooklyn Grange would agree, growing food in the city is good for the environment and good for people. Studies suggest there could be enough rooftop space in New York City to grow all of the fresh vegetables needed for the nearly 19 million residents.
I think that sometimes in life we get away from the things that come natural, and it's funny, but I grew up in a European household where it was completely natural to walk down the street to pick up vegetables and to pick up meat. And I think we've gotten slightly away from it in the past, 20 or 30 years. And I think that now we're finally starting to realize that that's the way that things should be. It should be that you have some sort of relationship with the person that's growing something for you. And I think that we're finally getting back to that.
Do you get some basic?
Okay, that's good.
For Market to Market, I'm Laurel Bauer-Bergmeyer.
And you can watch this story again on our Farm Week website. That's farmweek.msucares.com. You can also find us on Facebook and YouTube. Please head there and you can like us and we'll send all kinds of stuff to you. We'll also have a link to the Market to Market website where you can see the story as well and read the script. And if you'd like more information on the Brooklyn Grange Farm, we'll have a link to their website as well. That's farmweek.msucares.com. Now, Leighton, earlier in the show, we talked about all the weather problems. Well, Hurricane Irene brushed past New York there. Right. I sent an email up to the Brooklyn Grange folks, and they laid all the stuff on the trellises down and said they actually weathered the storm pretty good. But, you know, when you're growing out in the open like that,
right. And on top of a roof.
Just like growing on the ground, you know. It's the same thing as a regular farm. Well, we are at the end of Farm Week for this week. Next week, we'll have an all-feature edition of our show.
We'll take one more look at the 2011 Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions in Jackson, Mississippi. You'll also go to North Dakota, the state the recession has never touched. New oil discoveries are not the only reason behind that state's job growth.
In southern gardening, the Rex begonia. It comes in several varieties and it's great for holiday decorating. For the rest of the Farm Week crew, I'm Artis Ford.
And I'm Leighton Spann. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next week.